Hi everybody, welcome to G for G on YouTube. I am your host, commentator, and all-around person, Napalm Dom. Today's background soundtrack is brought to you by the Bloodborne OST. So, slightly ahead of the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance, and after the anti-cheating video, I've been thinking a lot of what could fix PvP going forward. What can Playdom do going forward from here that might make PvP a little bit better? The good thing is, we now have Marvel Avengers Alliance 2 to compare to this game, and we can say, hey, there is a product that Playdom is putting out there that can be used as a comparison. So you can no longer sit there and say, oh, well, you can't do that because Playdom has never done that before. They've never done that style. Well, now they have. So I've been thinking of a couple of things that may work. Some ideas that could be possible ideas for PvP going forward. And really have two big ones. One, drum roll please, that is defensive wins and losses don't change your rank. And I will wait for everybody to gasp and catch their breath. Everybody up in the cheap seats done freaking out yet? This would have been like, oh, hell no, we can't do that. That'll never work. Well, they're doing that in their other product right now. They are doing that in Marvel Avengers Alliance 2. They have your offenses are the only thing that matters. And you go on streaks. If you're on a losing streak, every loss is a huge dip. Every win, it accelerates you. It's like going downhill in a wagon. You get a little bit of inertia going, and then you're going pretty fast. So we do have another Playdom product to compare that to, and we could say, well, Playdom has thought of that, and they are doing it. So that should no longer be the giant shock that it once was to talk about that. And you could say, well, if defenses don't matter, then everybody is just going to sit around and tank their defenses. They're going to put in like Mr. Fantastic and Thing and be like, do what you want. You want to roll over me? Fine. Steamroll me. I don't care. Like, more power to you. You're going to get higher up the ladder. Well, then what you could do is potentially readjust the ladder so that you really need to do offensive wins and you kind of get that momentum thing. So you're using that. The other thing is, we have been pleading for people to tank their PvP teams during off-season, especially with new chapters, so that people have easier times to do incursions and incursion tasks. And in all honesty, we don't really see that happening. So we already have a situation in which people can tank their stuff, and yet nobody seems to be doing that. So, I don't know. And I mean, in Marvel Avengers Alliance 2, I don't see people tanking their PvP teams when they're not using it. It's not really that hard to take your Wasp and your Black Widow and your Groot and whatever, and when you're done with PvP for the day, just throw them away and put in your level 1 Nova that you just got, and your level 5 Heimdall, and your Agent 13 that's only level 10 that you just earned. There's nothing stopping people from doing that, but yet nobody really seems to be doing that. I don't seem to run into people who just tank their teams. And it would be really easy to do that in that game, because then you'd essentially be like paying it forward. You're not going to get displaced by what anybody else does. You achieve a rank. You're at that rank on your own merit. It doesn't matter what you fought to get there, whether you had to do 200 matches and lose a whole bunch of them, or do 100 matches and win all of them. Once you get there, you're there, and nothing else matters. So if they're not doing it in that game, people might not catch on and might not do it in this game. And tank their defenses just so everybody has a shot. The good thing is it would probably mean a little bit less to cheaters. You wouldn't have to cheat so hard just to get up in rank if you are not prepared to do it with good armory and good heroes and everything. To us, it would look like everybody's running a cheater defense, because potentially everybody's defense could be paper thin. If it's like, you don't suffer anything on defense. It could go either way. I mean, they do have another product where this is in place, so it's not like the concept would be so alien to Playdom to think about it. But it is something that has probably been thrown around as an idea for years, and if Playdom was going to do it, they definitely would have done it by now. So that's what I think the pros and cons of that would be. I mean, it would be really good, I think, for offense, and you could still, I mean, you could still set up amazing defensive teams, but it takes a lot of the stress out of it, I believe, and it doesn't make it so crunchy at the end. There's not that crush at the very end to get up to a certain rank, because throughout the season, if you just play the rest of the season just nice and even the whole way through, there's no need for the crush. And in terms of why you want to do offenses, there's no need to do a crush at the end of the season, because nobody else is crushing. So that's certainly a possibility. The other thing that I thought of, and this one I think is a little bit more viable and a little bit more involved, in the RPG realms, depending on the game, and I think even in some pen and paper RPGs, there are systems in place where if you die, you lose experience. Well, what I'm thinking of in this game is more along the lines of those RPGs where you hit a cap and then you can't fall below it, even if you quote-unquote die. So, for example, in an RPG, you turn level 20, you turn level 21, you get to 21 and a half, and suddenly you die. And it's part of that game that when you die, you lose experience. Well, some games have it so that you only lose down to the most recent level. So 21 and a half, you're going to drop down to 21. 21 and 98% through it and you die, you drop down to 21. But that's the floor of it. So what I'm thinking of is that once you hit a rank, you cannot defensively fall out of that rank. You still can offensively, but your defense can't dip you out of rank. So let's say you get up to 1700 in Ada, and there's a weekend coming up, you're going away with your family, you do your stuff on Friday, and you know you're not going to see PvP until Sunday. You come back Sunday, and you've taken a bunch of losses, but it caps you at 1550. So when I say you're capped at the most recent, or the floor of the most recent rank, that is the hard rating, not the percentage, not the rating that you would, or the rank you would get based on the fact that you're in the top 0.5 or the top 1 or whatever. I'm talking about like 1550 for Adamantium. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So if you get up to 1550, 1551 and higher, you cannot fall out of Ada based on your defense. Now, you might lose a match and dip out of it. That is certainly a risk. But your defense can never drop you below. Well, what is the issues with this? What may arise from something like that? Well, everybody's going to say, here's me, sir. Wouldn't everybody want to just go ahead and get up to adamantium in the first day when everybody's down in the mixing bowl and sift it out? Just shoot right out of the whole bowl and get right to the top. Well, it's nice and easy. Yes and no. In order to do that, be it on the very last day or be it on the very first day, in other words, a crush day, you're going to eventually run out of your 5 tokens in order to do that. You're constantly going to be chewing up your 5 PvPs. And you may be able to do that for a season or 2, do a huge burst, like either right at the end, right at the beginning, under this new style. But you're going to hit a limit. You're going to run out of all those 5-shot tokens that you've been building up through the years. Especially if you're somebody who just does a balanced season. Regardless, you know, you do your 5 a day, you do 7, 10 a day, whatever. You've probably been building up 5-shot tokens for years. What you can do to counter that is maybe not initiate the floor, the rank flooring, until halfway through the season. So if it is a 30-day season, somewhere around day 15, day 16, that's when you initiate the you can't get knocked out of your rank thing. So it encourages people to play legitimately at least for half of the season and try to earn their rank then. The other thing you could do is make good, viable rewards for you to ensure that you do your 5 daily. So that you don't just burst it up on the first and second day and then never look back at PvP again. That's something you can do in Marvel Avengers Alliance 2. You can hit S rank or the hero rank however soon the season starts and then just stop. I know for me during the Nova season, I knew I was 1 win away from getting into the hero rank. The friggin' app crashed, so that broke my streak. I lost a bunch, started falling down a little bit, but then I climbed my way back up on the back of another streak, and as soon as I got to the Nova hero rank, I stopped. I said I'm doing no more PvP for the rest of the season. I have the hero, don't care about S, I don't want to fall out of it, I'm done. That could be what people may think of when they have a floor that they can't fall out of. Then make it so that people want to do their 5 every single day. Either make it, you know, always a lockbox for PvP, great weapons, rare weapons that we haven't seen in a long time potentially, like the Hand of Apocalypse that we were talking about in a recent video. Some new weapon that we've never seen before. If you're going to absolve people of the responsibility of doing a peanut butter smoothed out season the whole way through, give them a draw. Give them a reason to PvP every single day. Because if their offense can still put them in jeopardy, and they still may lose ranks, it's still going to be a viable season because people are going to want to log in, do their 5 for like a covert task or a lockbox or a really good weapon or components to build a weapon. Like I can remember back when we were building the cube from drops, and I think the Odin staff was another one that was like that. Give people something that makes it so they don't just do their 200 matches in the first day, get up to 1560, and then never do it again. Because then that will make sure that more noobish teams who really don't belong up there will get, their attacks will get maintenance out of it. And, you know, their defense is still a factor. They, you know, you get up to 2,000 and your defense is garbage, you're going to get knocked down to 1550 eventually. Especially if you stop and never take any offenses. So I like the floor idea the best. That once you achieve a rank, you can't fall out of it based on your defenses. And I think that one's fair, and again, that's another one that I think helps. Well, actually, no, that kind of favors the cheaters a little bit. That means cheaters will have to do less work because their defense will never lose them out of things. You know, if cheaters constantly get their teams attacked and they never win because they have crap hero bonuses and crap armory and all of that stuff, then they'll just make it up again on their offenses. And if they have that floor in effect, it's going to cut down on the number of offensive maintenance that they need to do. Yeah, that is a possibility, but Playdom can take any one of these potential suggestions and do it up and make it more viable. If they crack down on the cheating and cheating is not a factor, then I think floor style works. But to piggyback on what I said in the last video, something has to be done. Something has to be done that people are not getting negative 300, negative 600 in the last 2 days of PvP. And I mean a piece, not negative 648 hours. I mean negative 600 Monday and negative 200 on Tuesday. Something needs to be better than what it was last season, and maybe some of these gripes have been there for years, but with the slowness that Playdom has exhibited with bugs, I mean, it took them the entirety of the season with Grit and Elite to fix it. Kurth has never been fixed with the double drains. With the slowness of this, people are getting frustrated. And after the end of PvP Season 30, with how bad it was with people's losses, with how bad it was seeing their defensive team lose to cheaters, Playdom's got their back up against the wall right now. And they are losing people. And they need to do something that will help pull people back. A little bit of panic or emergency PR, like Exxon when a tanker goes aground and spills out oil on all the ducks and penguins and beachgoers and everything. They need to get out there and be like, we'll clean it, we have a big industrial vacuum, just give us 10 minutes, we got this. Playdom needs to do that right around now, because I have never seen so many people go, you know what, I'm done with Playdom, I've had it with them, blah blah blah, concentrated at the end of one season like this. I've never seen that. So many people are upset, so many people are angry, and I've had a lot of people recently say like they don't want to spend gold on them anymore. No more gold sales for them for various reasons. Now people are like, I'm not PvPing anymore, or I'm just done with the game now. I think Playdom needs to dig themselves out of a hole a little bit, and I think a somewhat sweeping change of the PvP system is probably the way to go. So, guys, let me know what you think about my ideas in the description below. One style is the floor, where once you earn a rank based on the hard number, not the percentage number, you can't fall out of it. And then the other one is your defense cannot... what your team does on defense doesn't affect your rating, just like Marvel Avengers Alliance did. I will admit, that style I think is a little harder to pull off, because even though they're doing it in Marvel Avengers Alliance 2, it's I think a much smaller system, thereby making it easier to do in a much tighter ladder to begin with. But Let me know what you guys think. Peace out. See you guys on the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance.